Hey guys, so now you've probably heard that BTS's Suga got arrested for a DUI, driving under the influence, and the shamanic press is trying to paint this as Suga and HYBE trying to lie about this very scandalous situation. But what is the real story, and what will really happen to BTS Suga, who is still in the military fulfilling his mandatory service? So yes, you might have seen some headlines saying he got a DUI. He is lying about what happened. HYBE is trying to do a cover-up. Alright guys, well, this is the thing. This is the real story. Alright, so what happened? August 6th, Korea time, dinner. Suga went out to eat and drink with presumably his friends or whoever it was nearby his house. He lives in Hannam-dong, which is a very central area of Seoul. It is part of the whole Yongsan district, so you know how our Miss Adore had to go over to the police station. That was the Yongsan police station. Yongsan police were also involved in the Itaewon crowd crush. Yongsan police are also the people that found Suga on the ground next to his electric scooter. They smelled alcohol on his breath. They did a DUI breathalyzer test, and it came out to a blood alcohol concentration level that got him into trouble and had his driver's license, suspended. So was he behind the wheel of a car? No. A lot of these headlines, it makes it look like, oh my god, he was driving a car and he's drunk. Not the case. Is it serious, and could he actually have gotten into some serious trouble or God forbid, injured others? Yes, you have to take these things seriously because these electric scooters are not safe, not very safe. And there was some communication errors and kind of misunderstanding about what kind of electric scooter. All right, here's the lowdown, okay? So originally, the reports came out that it was one of those kick scooters, and you see a lot of those out on the streets because a lot of startups have done this whole thing where you can cut your commute instead of walking or taking a taxi. Hop on one of our scooters and go. And then people were like, oh my god, he's lying, it wasn't a kick scooter, it was an electric scooter. And if you say electric scooter, then that almost sounds like it's a motorcycle that just has an electric battery, which is lumped into that category, but his was not. His was essentially, not to minimize what happened or the danger of it, was the base of an electric kickboard with a seat on it. And maybe it could be a little bit more powerful than one of the kickboards that you stand on. So essentially that was the type of device that he was using. And then other people were just like, oh my god, he's lying about where he lives. It wasn't exactly close to where he actually lives. Okay, so the statement that they made, that HYBE and Suga made, was that he was about only like 500 meters away, which is walking distance, and that was where he was discovered. Now, other reports are saying like, oh, but he actually lives a little further away. It was like literally a block away. So where he was found is where other BTS members have their houses. Oh god, you're having me tracking real estate now, okay? But you know what? I don't even want to say who lives there or where it is. Y'all stop stalking. But basically, 2 BTS members at least live in the place where he just was found. And then his official reported residence is down like 1 block more. So wherever he was going, it was very close. He was found like, maybe he had too much to drink. So what was the immediate penalty? Well, the Yongsan police actually took him to the police station. How did the police get involved in the first place? Apparently they said that they were walking around. There is CCTV of police walking around patrolling. I don't know why. Like, usually in this type of heat in the summertime, the police can't be bothered. But maybe there was something where they were patrolling. They found, oh my gosh, you need help. And then they're like, oh, you seem drunk. Oh, there's a scooter right there. Oh, we gotta breathalyze you. Oh, okay. Well, you violated some laws. So the police have not revealed to what extent his blood alcohol concentration was, but it was in the range of 0.08 to 0.2. And if you're in that range, then the laws start to apply where it's more serious. In general, the drunk driving laws in Korea have gotten extremely strict, and it keeps changing. Like, when I was living in Korea for about a period of about like 15-16 years, it changed so much, and it changed always more stricter and stricter. So now I thought it was 0.05 was kind of the threshold. They made it to the point where if you take one drink, and because they're hearing so many excuses from people saying like, oh, I only had one drink. So they changed the law where basically like, all right, if you take one drink, most likely now we can get you. And so now the range is 0.03 to 0.08. There's penalty points on your record. This is standard DUI. We'll get into like how it affects electric scooter in a bit. Remember, in California, it's still like 0.08 up to 0.08, you're good. And then once you're above 0.08, then the laws start to apply. But in Korea, 0.03 to 0.08, if you're caught driving under the influence, you get penalty points on your record. So be careful in Korea, just don't drive when you're drinking. 0.08 to 0.2 is a 1 to 2 year suspension of your license. So you can't drive for 1 to 2 years. 0.2 and above, your license is canceled for at least 2 years. And they say 0.2 is quite serious. That's about like blackout level, maybe 10 drinks, something like that. 0.08 is very easy to accomplish if you're having a few drinks with dinner. So in general, Korea has made it so that if you literally just take one drink, just don't drive. Now, let's go to what he was actually writing and why the classification matters. So, if you are on a kickboard, that is classified more as a personal mobility device. Personal mobility device means that if you are drinking while using a personal mobility device, which even includes a bicycle, and you're drinking and you are caught for driving under the influence, yes, you will get caught. You will have a penalty, though. It doesn't cross over into a criminal charge, but the police will still give you a penalty and a fine, and most likely it'll be 100,000 won, about $100 or less. But the problem with Suga was that he was writing something that looks a little bit more powerful. And what is the threshold? This is the most important thing. They're gonna have to like really look at his device, because he was writing, yes, something that basically looks like a kickboard with a seat. The tires, take a look at the tire. I mean, it was not a motorcycle. You can't go to Costco for these tires. They laugh you out of the room. Maybe even a bicycle shop, but maybe even then, it's not a big thing. Not to excuse what he did, but it's not what the media is trying to portray as like he's like behind a car and drinking and driving and lying about like where he lives. But the important thing about this in terms of the law is how fast it can go and how much it weighs. So this is where it gets a little bit tricky. It looks like the model that he was riding goes up to a top speed of 30 kilometers an hour, which is about 18 miles an hour. And the law, though, on what brings a personal mobility device into a motorized vehicle is actually 25 kilometers per hour. So if your device goes above 25 kilometers per hour, which is 15 miles per hour, then that counts as a motorized vehicle if also your device weighs more than 30 kilometers, which is about 66 pounds. So if your kickboard with a seat or electric scooter, whatever you want to call it, is above 66 pounds and can go faster than 15 miles per hour, then it counts as a motorized vehicle. Once it counts as a motorized vehicle, if you are caught driving under the influence in a motorized vehicle, then criminal charges can be applied and the fines and penalties are harsher. So it's 1 to 2 years in jail or about 5 to 10 million won fine, depending on the alcohol level, plus also the suspension of your license. So that's why it's very critical. So that extra, like even if he wasn't going over 25 kilometers per hour, the fact that his scooter, the model and the specs could go up to 30 kilometers per hour, that puts him into trouble. Man, that scooter manufacturer now is probably going to their engineers and saying like, take off this 5, get it up only to 25 kilometers per hour, but 15 miles per hour. So then people were like looking at the CCTV footage of Suga going down the street. They're like, oh my God, he's going so fast. I'm like, oh, yes, that is dangerous, but it's not a regular motorcycle. You try going 15 miles per hour at the maximum and then see what happens, So to put it into context, a professional bicyclist in the Tour de France, when they're just on flat surfaces, they can go up to 25 to 28 miles per hour. So a bicycle can go faster than this model of an electric scooter that Suga was on. Again, not justifying what he did or to minimize how dangerous it was, but we're putting it into context to give you the real story here. And then the statement by Suga and HYBE were very transparent and immediately taking responsibility and willing to accept whatever punishment there is and to cooperate fully with the investigation. And people are just like putting HYBE through the ringer because they said, oh, they called it a kickboard when it was really an electric scooter. But mind you, the police themselves had to make an announcement to clarify what kind of device he was riding, because it looks like an electric kickboard with a seat. If you would put it in the category of scooter, like motorcycle scooter or electric kickboard, and if you just looked at the device and it folds, like you can put it in your trunk, try putting a motorcycle into your trunk of a car, you would kind of see why people would call it more of a kickboard. So it's just kind of a terminology mistake, but they did not make any mistakes about saying like, yes, this happened. This is the punishment that we're willing to take, and we are cooperating fully and gonna be transparent. When Suga immediately announced like what happened the day after, he said that he fell down alone while stopping the electric scooter at the front gate, and a police officer was nearby, so they tested his blood alcohol concentration, and his license was revoked, and then he was fined. He said no one was harmed, nothing was damaged, no property damage, but he says that he accepts his responsibility, he has no excuses, and then he bows apologetically to everybody, and he said that he will make sure that this doesn't happen again in the future. So really, he got a DUI after not being able to park his scooter correctly and then falling over. Parking. So the thing happened when he was parking his scooter, not while he was driving. Again, he shouldn't have been doing that in the first place. And then Big Hit also said, yes, Suga was riding this electric scooter with the helmet while returning home after drinking alcohol. He went about 500 meters, and that's when all of this happened. It didn't result in any personal injury or property damage, and he returned home under police escort, and they're very sorry for the disappointment that this behavior has brought. Then they had to clarify. They're like, oh, sorry, we didn't mean to say kickboard, it's an electric scooter. Sorry for the misunderstanding. We were not trying to mislead the public. They're just probably thinking like, my goodness, another division in our building on the 16th floor can get away with so many things and like saying like, oh, it was just a joke, and we have to like go out there and say like, okay, we didn't mean electric kickboard, we meant electric scooter. Sorry for the misunderstanding, and sorry if you feel like you've been misled. Where I don't know, there's a lot of bunnies like not even seem to be misled over statements that they may be brainless. Okay, so then they also acknowledged that Suga was fined, his license was revoked, and even the company is extremely sorry and bows their head in apology. And they said that, we're also willing to accept any kind of military discipline that may come to Suga. Now, what did the military say? They also said like, well, okay, Suga was on a break. He was, you get, while you're doing your mandatory military service, you do get some time to leave and then, go hang out with your friends and family. And so they said that this happened while he was a civilian and not on duty. So most likely there are no military punishment laws that would apply in this case. So the military is pretty much not going to punish him unless there's so much public uproar. They'll probably find something to punish him just to get people off their backs. But this happened while he was, during his private time on break. So there's no reason why he would face a military punishment as well. But why would he even take this risk in the first place? Not to justify it, but if you're wondering, well, if you look at the area that he was in and where he lives, that's actually quite a central area, even though those new apartment complexes are super expensive and way out of the reach, and in a way, somewhat of a walled palace in real terms. That area though is just like, if somebody knew that a BTS member was walking on the streets home a little drunk, he would get mobbed. Even like right in front of that very place where he was found. That's a very busy bus stop with tons of people waiting for buses to go to all different parts of Seoul. You can imagine how, they get mobbed. So because it was so close, and it seems like he probably used this transportation option, instead of driving, he thought that it was not a big deal to be drunk while riding a scooter, which he thought was more under personal mobility device. So this very much is a good lesson for everybody that, even if you're riding a bicycle and that counts as a personal mobility device and doesn't go into criminal territory if you are caught with a DUI, you still will get fined for a DUI even on a bicycle. But because these laws are continuously changing, and you probably maybe don't think that it's such a big deal, maybe that's why he did it. But I understand why that maybe he might not want to take a taxi, because a lot of taxis won't take you such a short distance, and was going to hire a driver. So I think that's a bit of a gamble that maybe that they were taking, and they thought it wasn't going to be a big gamble. And have I seen celebrities on a bicycle? Yes, I think I mentioned before, I think I saw Rain in the elevator of my dentist in Seoul with his bicycle. And at first I was like, that looks like Rain, but I don't think so, because he was so nice. He was pushing the buttons on the elevator for everybody. And then I was just like, but I think that's Rain. And this is a place where a lot of celebrities go anyway. So yeah, good for you, Rain. I could see how, they just wants to get some exercise, doesn't want to deal with everybody, and then just bike to where he needs to go. And if it wasn't Rain, well then, Rain, you should be grateful that there's a really nice person on a bicycle at the dentist that is making you look good. So I can see how he decided to take that risk, and maybe, when Suga uses his electric scooter, I'm sure he's not drunk every time he uses it. So that was kind of a lapse in judgment. In the future, definitely just always, he should always just hire a car or take a taxi or whatnot, no matter what. But I could see how, even if he had a taxi, that he would be opening himself up to being mobbed by the crowd, and then just kind of, sliding through with a little scooter makes him a little bit more incognito. And actually, I think a lot of people wouldn't expect celebrities to be using an electric scooter like that, which helps them, keep a low profile. But now with the cat out of the bag, just get a taxi every single time, Suga, or I guess hire a private driver. It's a big expense, but looks like, the cost is justified. Definitely for you. All right, guys, so what do you think? Do you think that it was hyped up? Definitely, it is a concern about safety and, whether you should have done this or not. Definitely should not, but love to hear what you guys think. Put your comments below. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you again next time.